Okay, recording.
Telebabad.
This episode is very special because ngayon, three-way na. We have a very special guest tonight.
Special in quotes.
He's an esteemed film critic writing for the Philippine Daily Inquirer, also a scriptwriter of the indie film Ang Nawawala.
And the director of my favorite music video.
Which one?
Our Weekends Dissolve.
Oh, wow.
Please welcome to our three-way special episode, Mr. Ramon de Veyra.
Hello.
ASMR.
Such a sexy voice.
Oh, nga, gusto ko try yung ASMR. Does it work? Can you hear me?
Let's jump right to it.
And maybe we should mention the reason I'm also the guest here is because last year,
Yes.
when we spoke about Infinity War, I was the guest.
Yeah.
So it's, I guess, somewhat fitting that we're back
Yeah.
talking about the sequel of Infinity War.
Avengers Endgame.
Yep.
In bold letters, spoiler alert. So if you haven't seen it,
Press pause, go immediately to your theater, watch the movie, and then come back to your device, unpause. We'll wait for you.
We'll be waiting.
you've been warned. Sorry. You've been warned.
You've been
Spoiler.
warmed.
Okay, matanong lang namin, Ramon. Where did you watch it? When did you watch it?
Okay, so I watched it April 24, which is when it first came out
Wow.
here in this country. So my screening was 2:30 p.m. April 24, but it was all the way in Las Piñas at the Evia Lifestyle Center because it's the only IMAX with laser as far as I know in Luzon.
What is IMAX with laser?
Well, basically it's IMAX with laser projection.
Oh,
So
akala
that
ko like
makes it-
yung effects may laser.
No,
Oh,
but
akala ko may mga lasers na tinatamaan ka kung may ano.
parang ganun eh. Parang ganun yung pakiramdam ko kasi sobrang liwanag niya. Yung main draw niya is when it's 3D, there's no loss of brightness. So it's still super crisp. It's like a Blu-ray on a giant screen.
Oh, wow.
And it's the first time I've been, kasi Evia is, I'm not sure if it's Mega World, but it's the first IMAX I've been to na hindi SM. There's ample leg room. The seats don't even fold up. They're just fixed. It's leather. Even the bathroom of the IMAX theater is amazing because it has those Japanese toilets where the lids go up and down by themselves.
Fancy.
Tapos warmed yung seat. Tapos may ilaw pa.
So hindi ka na nag-adult diaper?
Hindi na.
Did you,
Naghanda
did you,
na ako.
as in like,
I mean,
you
I didn't.
prepared it?
I made sure I ate and drank like at least 30 minutes before the screening. Went to the bathroom.
me, I had to stop myself from drinking water or drinking anything for like 2 hours before.
2 hours.
Yeah, kasi
Okay.
sobrang maihiin ako. Stop
Even
it.
inside the theater, you didn't bring any drink.
Yeah, I have nothing. Pero I think dehydrated ako after. Kasi nag-cramps ako the next.
Yeah, tsaka sa lahat ng luha natin.
That's true.
Ako dehydrated
That's true.
talaga. Desiccated ako by the end of the movie kasi
Yeah.
talagang steady streams of ano eh.
Lahat ng liquids na lumabas sa mata mo, no?
Oh, tears lang naman.
Tears
Hindi
lang.
Hindi wala namang uhog.
Not the other body parts.
Oo, yes.
Yun na yung nainom ko, yung luha ko, yung ininom ko.
Yes, ganun.
Kami ni CJ, we watched it 11:30
Yeah.
in Rockwell.
Tapos may bata pa.
May
Grabe.
bata pa, may lola pa.
gising
On
pa siya.
Wednesday.
Saturday.
It was a Sunday.
Wow!
Sunday na, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was how many days that you had to stay offline, halos?
I don't know, for some reason lang, ako parang, I didn't consciously stay away from the internet.
Okay.
But I didn't see any.
You didn't get any spoilers.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
I guess I
That
have.
means well-curated ang iyong Twitter feed, yes.
Yes.
And
Pero-
decent ang friends mo on Facebook, yes.
Yes.
Interesting though, like our friend Vicky, ang ginawa niya, nagdala siya ng headphones, listen to music on full blast while waiting.
That's smart.
Kasi pagkalabas raw ng cinemas na maraming tao,
Yeah, some of them are talking about it.
yes,
Yeah.
kagad na.
This almost happened. I almost got spoiled in Infinity War last year.
Okay.
Because I was in the bathroom trying to relieve myself
Oh, no.
before my screening. And then people were there from the previous screening. and they
yeah.
started talking about it.
Yeah.
But the funny thing that happened was, I was in a cubicle and then I started just going la 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 by myself, but other people also said, oh, walang ganyanan.
Yeah.
So it was a parang communal experience of, hey, stop talking, other people here haven't seen it yet.
So ako naman, honestly, the movie was spoiled
Ay, galit siya.
because of Facebook.
Uh-huh.
You know, one of those Facebook posts na may background na solid color or may slight design.
Yes, I've seen those.
Ang laki.
Ang laki.
Patay na si Tony, namatay si Tony, all caps. Namatay na si patay si Tony Stark, tumanda si Captain America, tapos lahat ng emojis doon ay angry,
Not even yung mga pasimpleng hirit.
Hindi, actually,
Talagang direct attack.
the first one, naasar na ako eh. Sabi niya, ganun din ulit, yung the Facebook background,
Ano yung background?
yellow.
Hindi yung confetti na parang birthday party.
Something like that. Confetti birthday party. Tapos, minor spoiler lang naman, guys. 5 years later, sabi ko, God damn it.
Wait, so he's...
Salbahe itong taong to.
So he started with 2 monster spoilers and then said minor spoiler lang.
Yes.
And then put the 5 years.
Ang lala.
So, chinek ko, she was a fan of the show we did before, Rakista.
Parang hindi yan totoong fan,
So, unfollow na.
Block.
Hindi ko trip yung mga ganyan. The movie was ruined for me before I got into
Was it ruined? You still enjoyed it?
I still enjoyed it, pero sana I wish I had.
Yeah, there's a certain thing na nawala.
Yes.
Oh.
The element of surprise, the element
and the tension.
Okay.
And of course, sino ba naman yung hindi gustong pumunta sa movie na going in cold, di ba? Pero yun, the movie was destroyed na for me. Sana magka-amnesia ako before watching it.
Wag naman.
Happy. So yun na, during a party that I went to, my friend, Director Dan Villegas, explained to me what goes inside the mind of a spoiler.
So nga, ba't ba sila
Yun na nga eh,
nagpo-post?
kasi villainized ng spoilers ngayon, tapos ito yung mga bagong kupal ng mundo. And then, na-explain sa akin ni Dan, unang-una, bakit ka magsuspoil kung alam mong kakainisan ka ng tao sa social media? And he explained it to me. Attention, KSP to. Okay lang nagalit sa kanila yung mga tao as long as attention ay nasa kanila.
Yeah, it makes sense naman. I mean, why else would you... Kasi anytime someone spoils something, it's really trying to get points eh. Diba? You're trying to
Bragging rights.
Yeah, you're trying to say to the world, I've seen it, you haven't. I am privy to this information that you do not have. So it's a bit of an arrogant bragging thing, but it's because you want it's how you get the attention of other people. You parang place yourself at a certain level above. Diba? Parang ako meron akong ganito na wala kayo na napanood ko na, diba? And it also happens every time you see like new episodes of Game of Thrones dropping also.
Ang ganda rin nung Instagram video na ginawa ni Josh Brolin. Nasabi niya, a lot of people worked hard on this movie. Ang dami naming ginawa na trial and error just to make a good story for you guys. There's a lot of hard work in the writer's room, even for us actors. Let's not ruin that.
Yeah.
For people who paid good money to see it.
Right.
To see our hard work.
Same
Kasi,
goes for piracy.
sabi niya, it's not easy coming up with a story and making these twists and turns.
Yeah.
And
the misdirection.
Yeah, exactly. Kumbaga, hours and hours, man-hours na unimaginable na dinaanan nila lahat yan. And just to create something special. Tapos when you spoil it, isipin nyo na lang yung mga creators din siguro na pinaghirapan yun. And it's beautifully said.
That's why, for me, why I'm so adamant, I guess, about spoilers is having also tried to do that. I mean, I don't really like twists for twists' sake. Pero there are plot developments that can be spoiled.
Yes.
And there are certainly amazing moments in our favorite shows and movies na if someone had spoiled it, the satisfaction and the enjoyment, the sheer thrill would have been really different. So if that had been robbed from me, I would be really upset about that. That's why I also really love second screenings of things I love, because that's when you can appreciate the work na you know already what happened, and then you're like paying attention. How was this set up? How was my attention misdirected? How are my expectations either met or subverted? And that's where you appreciate sort of the craft nga.
Diba?
So, ito. What was your initial reaction after the first screening? First screening.
So, wala pa second. Well, umiiyak ako, diba?
How many times did you cry, Ramon?
Dami.
Ako rin eh.
There was a certain point na dire-diretso na. As in, genuinely, uminit yung mata ko. kasi hindi necessarily hagulgulan eh.
Yung nag-stream.
Oo, meron yung stoic face na, you know, may mga, parang may leak lang yung eyeballs mo. Tapos
pero strangely, ito yung reaction na nakuha ko rin sa mga lahat ng tinanong ko na.
Oh.
Halos lahat umiyak eh.
I've met like one or two people who didn't cry.
Why daw?
No,
because they're heartless.
I was just surprised but parang they were sad but not all the way there.
Ba, hindi sila ganun ka-invested?
Maybe.
Because honestly, I did not expect that I would cry in this movie.
Honestly.
You always cry.
Well, that's true. Pero,
I expected I would cry, but I didn't realize how much would... Because what I was so happy with the film, 80% of what happened, I did not expect. I thought, diba, in the back of my head, maybe they'll do like a time travel thing. But I thought they would go to the events of Infinity War. So I didn't think na, grabe, they were gonna do like a victory lap pala of these other films that were like high points or not so high points, as some people don't like Dark World. But and really show you na this is a long thing that we were embarking on, and this is the conclusion of that.
Pero as in, ako naman, I didn't expect saan ako iiyak.
Ako naman, ang hindi ko in-expect dito na it was less a suspenseful movie and more of a heart movie. For me.
Oh yeah,
Really,
that's one of the nice surprises.
Because yung Infinity War, kabang-kaba ko palagi.
Tense.
Na tense. It's a tense movie. It's a good suspense film actually. The way one scene goes into another, the way it's edited, tapos the way the tension was built up. Tense ako. Hindi ako naiyak at all sa Infinity War. Pero when it comes to this, it's almost like a Pixar movie na nga eh. Na parang naiiyak
well,
ako.
it's a goodbye movie. So,
yeah.
parang graduation movie. So,
I like that.
Commencement talaga.
Oh, so, iyak ka talaga.
So in this episode, we're not gonna recap the entire movie. Nasa internet na yan, magbasa na lang kayo. What we're gonna do for this episode, we gathered some stray observations that the three of us, we would like to discuss in depth. Okay, so unang-una na nasulat namin, the time travel conundrum. Now, I spoke to some friends. Some of them didn't like the way time travel was portrayed here.
Yeah, that's their thoughts. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with them?
Okay, sige. When it comes to time travel, I'm a big fan of time travel movies except kung masyado nang magulo. And I think, honestly, itong time travel device na ginamit nila is a bit nakakalito rin. Hindi siya parang Back to the Future or Terminator na ang simple. You go back to the past, you change something, you go back to the future, lahat ng binago mo sa past, na bago na. Ito, if we look at it visually, it looks more like a flowchart or a branch of a tree.
Nanganak siya.
Nanganganak, exactly. So, kumbaga...
Yeah, but that also happened in Back to the Future too.
Were there two timelines in
Yeah,
Back to the Future?
because Biff became Donald Trump, diba? There was that whole chalkboard drawing ni Doc Brown, diba? We went to a different timeline here.
Or actually, ang naalala ko sa kanyang movie, it's a bad movie, Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, parang what if yan eh, diba?
Yeah, every decision you make branches out into multiple realities.
May napanood akong video essay. Yung hiniraman nila ng rules ng time travel nga, Dragon Ball yata. Na you can go back and walang parang butterfly effect. Walang...
Well, that is sort of, yeah, that's true. That's how time travel is used in Endgame. There's no butterfly effect.
Yeah.
But it's closer to what's actually true. Because having read in the post-screening of the movie, I've read a bunch of interviews with the directors and the writers. They interviewed some physicists and what their idea of what actual time travel would be like. And that's why they had to make that point nga, that the way it's conceived in Terminator and Back to the Future is false.
Okay.
That's why they had to say that's not wrong. Diba? Once you go to the past, that is your present, that's your future. You can't really change things and then you're gonna disappear. If you change things, it creates a different timeline, sort of like that's how it's explained. Pero the main question actually should be, did it affect your enjoyment of the story? Because for me, I'll admit, I was a bit confused by how the time travel worked, because there's so much sort of exposition and explanation. Because initially there's Don Cheadle and Bruce Banner talking about it, and then they get schooled pa by Tilda Swinton.
Oh, yeah.
Diba? She says, oh, hindi, it's not just that, because it's the stones are how you perceive, or they're responsible for how you perceive time. So if you remove the stones, that's what's gonna create new timelines, etc., etc. So I was like, okay, but it did not affect my appreciation of what happened, because ultimately, whatever you choose, time travel or portals or alternate realities, it's all tools to get to whether or not you were satisfied by the ending, which I was. It gave the fates to the characters that I loved. I mean, gave them satisfying endings. I didn't feel it was a cop out, because they showed them on the stakes, and that they couldn't just keep using it, keep going back in time.
Sa akin naman, parang thematically, I think this is like a commencement movie nga.
And it allows that excuse to go through
Yes.
all those previous
Yeah.
films and
think
sort of
yun yung-
reappreciate things with a new lens.
Yeah.
You know, it actually remind me of, in sitcom parlance, yung tinatawag na clip show. Kunwari, The Simpsons, nakaupo lang si Homer tsaka si Bart in a park bench. Tapos sasabihin lang ni Homer, do you remember nung time na ganito? Tapos sabi ni Bart din, do you remember the time na ganyan? Tapos, pinapakita lang nila yung snippets of the best episodes of the season.
I don't feel it was a lazy device.
Yeah.
I think it was a necessary device.
I agree.
Given the objective ng movie. Alam mo yun, patapos na eh. So,
actually, the best discussion I had with a friend na this is not a thinking movie, it's more an emotional movie. Hindi siya yung parang movie na i-discuss natin na ay, mali naman yung logic sa time travel na ganun.
Yeah.
This is about emotions more than logic eh.
yeah.
And ako, I'm willing to let go of the logic as long as umiyak ako 3 beses.
Basta satisfying. Kasi, you know, if you're going to nitpick every single thing, then you'll never enjoy it.
Yeah.
Pero if it's all just being used to tell a great story, a satisfying story, then I'm fine with that.
Okay, so next topic of discussion. Fat Thor.
I love him.
May lumabas na article kaninang umaga about the body positive aspects of Avengers Endgame. What is body positivism? It's a movement that says okay lang naman na iba-ibang shapes ang katawan ng tao. And
Worthy ka pa rin.
yung cause nila is
Thor ka pa rin.
ang cause nila is to have body diversity in fiction.
Yeah, and to remove the negative stigma.
Yeah. More than having them, it's the moral or like cultural meanings.
Yeah, not just representation,
attached to
but
them.
also, yeah.
Kasi di ba pag mataba, pangit or masama. Pag payat, siya na yung bida.
Kung payat, creepy usually di ba? Parang si The Riddler or
Parang
si
may ganong
Mephisto, di ba?
may ganong assignment. So I think that's what the body positive movement is sort of doing that. So yun.
So what did the article say?
Actually, the article said na sayang yung opportunity ng Avengers Endgame to promote this idea kasi may dalawang jokes. First joke, Thor asks everyone, do you know what's coursing through my veins? War Machine answers, Cheese Whiz. Second joke, Thor went back in time and met his mom. And the parting words, son, please eat a salad. Sayang yung trajectory ng movie na the first time we see Thor with a beer belly, you saw Rocket and the Hulk not reacting at all. Also, the article said, natural na nangyayari to na if you look at soldiers suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, usually tumataba sila.
Coping mechanism siya
To address trauma, di ba?
Yeah.
And ang ganda ng moment na these two people who are closest to Thor, they did not say anything about his gaining weight. And also another one, I was expecting na when the thunder struck Thor, nababalik yung abs niya. Pero the fact na ang taba pa ni Thor until the end credits.
That was good.
Love it. Loved it. It's an inspiration to all people who are having body issues. Na parang not all superheroes kailangan may abs. That's such an inspiring message.
Well, I did laugh at joke from the mom. Because it also has that angle of the maternal,
Yeah.
parang worry.
Very titas of Manila.
Literal nanay niya
Mommy
yun
mo yun eh.
Diba? So
Gagaling
parang
ka talaga ng
yung
mommy
maternal
mo eh.
worry na yan, that made the joke funnier for me. I didn't laugh at the cheese whiz
Yeah,
joke.
me
That was
too.
kind of medyo okay lang. Lazy a bit. But
Pero yun, I think yung issue na, kasi parang mapupunta tayo sa, shouldn't they have made that joke? Yun ba yung point ng article? Kasi for me, it's fine for me that the joke was made, but pinanindigan yung Fat Thor until the end. He proved them wrong eh. Sige, i-joke niyo ako, pero siya yung huling
Sorry, there
lumaban
was a
eh.
third joke pala from Tony Stark.
Ayun.
Hey Big Lebowski, which is in reference to
Funny.
a character played by Jeff Bridges
Yeah.
na mataba din. Sayang yung attempt.
Ako naman,
did you think that while watching the movie?
Natawa ako, actually.
oo. Di na ano ka lang, na-affect ka lang nung article. Na-guilty ka.
After nung article, hindi na ako natawa.
Ako pinanindigan ko na natawa ako.
Okay, so, natawa ka ba?
Dun sa the mom's
Jesus.
joke. No. The one where she has eat a salad. Kasi I also like the delivery, the execution of the
Yeah,
joke
yeah.
kasi was medyo under her breath. Tapos patapos na yung scene, diba? Like, eat a salad. Talagang parang nanay talaga eh.
Oo. Out of care.
Out of,
Actually, I
hindi siya
didn't-
insult eh.
Oo.
Exactly.
Characterization siya. Ako naman, gustuhan ko na mataba na nga si Thor kasi ang ganda na.
So you would have felt, it would have been worse, it would have been a cop-out if he did become abs Thor again.
Yes.
But the fact that they kept his body shape that way all the way through, even though he was fighting and he was already
Yeah.
capable, that's more satisfying, diba? Than it would have
Yeah.
been if he had magically called the lightning tapos, wow, rock hard abs ulit.
Diba? Actually, he never really cared, diba? Hindi nga siya na-affect din sa weight issues.
Hindi ko maalala eh. Was
Comments.
he ever really vain in the previous?
Parang no.
Parang no naman.
Hindi.
He
Parang
doesn't care.
he doesn't care.
Sorry guys, that was a mouthful pero that was worth discussing. We move on to our next bullet point. Let's talk about the death of Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow.
Yun, that made me really cry. Naiyak ka dun.
Yes.
Sige nga, ako hindi ako naiyak eh. Naastigan ako kasi sa sequence na yun.
Ikaw, ba't ka naiyak?
Siyempre, it was an emotional fight. First of all, there's a couple of things to remember. Una, they're both good actors. Second, they're the only two characters who are both heroes who have fought each other thrice.
Yes.
Diba? And they're the closest also. Because he rescued her from her life of crime, but she was like working for the other side. Diba? She was
Yes.
basically Winter Soldier now, not exactly brainwashed because of amnesia, but because she was raised in the Red
Yes.
Room. That's in that assassination, training program. That's why I'm curious also. I'm excited to see the prequel. But anyway, so they have this long shared history that makes it very intimate. They're fighting each other for the third time after Civil War and Avengers 1.
Yes.
And then it's such a dark scene when you realize they're both fighting each other for the right to die, which is so dark. I loved it.
Pero I gotta admit that part, absolutely great writing. Yung batuhan nila ng lines, ang ganda eh.
Yeah, and
It's a debate eh.
And it's not just batuhan ng lines. It was batuhan ng lines na
Habang,
katabi, at the same time may physical confrontation, and they're so matched. Diba? That was also one
and
of
they
the things.
know
Are they
how
matched
they...
though? Parang under...
Yeah, diba? That was one of the points pa nga made in the Civil War fight eh. Was like, you're not taking this seriously kasi they're so equal na they weren't really landing blows. And then one of the people
You're pulling your
commented,
punches,
you guys are pulling
diba?
your punches kasi you're close eh. And then here, ito talaga to the death. Not in the sense na you would normally think na you're trying to execute the other person, but you're trying to stop the other person from killing themselves because you want to do it yourself. And then they both are at this sort of low point where they both feel that they want to be the one to give themselves up. And that also speaks to how far Hawkeye had fallen in the 5 years since his entire family dusted, which was a great scene, which started the
Grabe.
movie. I loved how that scene was shot.
Na-humanize yung snap, no? Kasi yung snap...
And they don't even show it eh.
Yeah.
Whenever he
So
turns,
fucking
they're just
sad.
flakes na. He never actually sees them flake away.
Yung half pa lang.
Oo. Galing nun scene.
Tsaka nung sa Infinity War kasi, they're all superheroes.
This felt like the civilian cost more.
Yeah. So parang it felt so human and so sad.
Yeah.
So parang, fuck.
And it's staged so well because you really thought that, diba, you really thought that Hawkeye was gonna die na. There's a shot already from under the cliff where Hawkeye was already falling, and then suddenly Tasha jumps also, catches him, and then
Baliktad.
ganda ng scene na yun.
Sa akin, ano pa lang, yung negotiation pa lang nila.
Did you ever feel
I
na parang
started crying.
nandun pa lang?
Oh, felt na initially, Natasha's death was like single shaming. Kasi parang, so siya na lang yung mamamatay para, yung how about you tell them yourself? Yung ikaw yung may pamilya eh. Mas worthy kang magstay dito at mabuhay. So parang, what? That is so sad.
The director said something about that which was, parang yung perspective ni Natasha was, family niya is the Avengers. So if she could get this thing done and have them come back, parang for her, kumpleto na yung life niya. She can go. That's how she felt. That's how they explained her parang thinking daw.
And it was established na parang Red Skull knew her father, pero siya hindi niya, alam niyo. Hindi niya kilalang tatay niya mismo diba? So wala talaga siyang family.
Well, not biologically, I guess. But she did say diba previously in the movie na this is my family.
Yeah. Dun sa
first few minutes.
minutes.
Before pa nga the 5-year jump.
Pero, in a way, I also saw it like very powerful choice yun. To have that kind of power, na sige, ako. I have that...
It's her choice.
Yeah, I have that choice to give my life to this certain cause. Yun. So, parang, naka-recover naman ako from that agony.
So anyway, next was Captain America selfish in this movie? Patay tayo dyan.
Well, yes, pero hindi naman tayo patay. I mean, it's part of the whole thematic arc. Kasi him and Tony have sort of opposing... Tony's character from Iron Man 1 goes from selfish to here becoming selfless. He does the ultimate sacrifice. But he also gave the advice to Cap, diba, na you should have a life of your own. And then Cap's life naman has been selflessness. He lost it. I mean, he serviced, volunteering for the war, for the experiments, but also after that, when he woke up, he felt like, in Civil War or Winter Soldier, he said like, it's not for me. I just wanna. I don't think I can do this, family and kids life anymore. I'll just do this. And then Tony Stark says, no, you should have a life. And then parang after the events of Endgame, when he's returning the stones, he realizes now, I think I've kind of done my duty, and then why can't I have my own life back now that I've done all of this stuff na.
Actually, the question is it bad to be selfish?
Yeah, self-care, more important.
Do you have to be, if you're someone people look up to, you have to be selfless. It's also good to look up to someone who values himself.
Yeah, you have to take care of yourself.
Diba?
O kumbaga parang sa parenting, diba? Sabi nila dapat
You
sa
show
mata ng
joy.
anak mo,
Yeah.
you're a happy person daw. Aside from being a hero, you should be a happy person.
The child sees how miserable you are being a parent, magigilty yun. Tapos parang, yung burden of making your parents happy.
Falls on the child.
Yeah. More pa with Cap. Alam mo yung bigay mo na. Kasi parang...
No, but also, the fans have really wanted that sort of reunion with Peggy. It was such a nice, hanging heartbreak
yes.
ever since the first movie. And they tease it constantly. Winter Soldier and Civil War. She's in both.
Pero tanong ko sa inyo, interesting master stroke ba na you end this saga of 22 movies with a
On the shot of them.
Of Peggy Carter and Steve Rogers dancing to a
Oh,
1940s
for me,
tune.
yes. It was
Bakit?
so
Why
great.
was it the perfect shot to end this epic poem?
Kinikilabutan ako ngayon.
Yeah, parang it's like it's such a well-earned happy ending and a deserving one. But you can't fault Steve at all for having chosen that life.
It's interesting though that they ended with a shot of Captain America and not Iron Man.
Pwede, but at the same time kasi, he didn't have that same void. Like Iron Man's story was complete by that point. Diba? He had the family life kahit paano. But it was just such a nice reward sort of for Cap's service and duty that he got to have his ending also.
For me, hindi rin just ultimately selfish Kasi in a way, don't you think
He
it's like a una responsible naman siya. Sinoli
Yeah.
naman niya bago naman siya sinoli niya yung stones bago siya bumalik kay Peggy. So he makes sure intact yung timeline. Pero more importantly, I think it was a gesture of gratitude and tribute to Tony. Kasi he took his advice.
Okay, so eto, tanong ko sa inyo. If you were to pick one moment in the movie that sang to your soul, what moment would that be? So, since ako nagtanong, I'll answer first. It's that shot. It's not even a scene. It's just a shot. It's a shot of all the women superheroes banding together in front of Carol Danvers.
That spoke to your soul.
Spoke to my soul.
Why?
It sang to my soul. I don't know. Doon ako naiyak for some strange reason.
Doon? Akala ko di ka umiyak.
Umiyak ako. Maraming beses ako umiyak. So, I don't know, pero ang ganda nung montage na yon. Ang ganda nung shot na yon na everyone was there. Rescue was there.
Yeah.
Even the Wasp was there just to help Carol Danvers. I'm a fan of medyo deep cuts to A-Force. Gusto ko yung idea na parang women teaming up together, looking out for each other. Tapos ang heroic ng moment nila. Yeah.
How about you? I want to hear from CJ. How do you like the come on ladies, let's get information shot?
Gusto ko yung parang sunod-sunod. Na-off lang ako dun sa parang omnibus shot. Na parang, kailan ba yun?
Na isang shot?
Yung isang shot.
Okay.
Yung parang, okay, one shot.
You would have preferred a sequence?
Yes,
like a whole...
Masyado lang siyang parang, we have to have this frame. Pero, sobrang ganda nung yung di ba, from one woman to another.
Yeah.
And ako, the way it was framed, it's almost like a Renaissance painting. Ang ganda nung...
Actually, the whole fight scene was like a Renaissance.
Michelangelo painting.
Parang siyang yung nasa Sistine Chapel.
Yun!
Okay, your turn.
Sequence siya.
What
Favorite ko yung bagsak na si Thor, bagsak na si Tony. Tapos si Captain, nag-try siyang tumayo. Tapos kita mo na half na yung...
Basag na yung shield.
Tapos tayo siya. Inalalabanan niya pa din, kahit mag-isa siya. Tapos biglang nag-feedback na si Falcon. Tapos, oh my God, umiyak talaga ako yung on your left.
And that's such a nice sample also because it's one of those rare occasions where it's tears of joy. Generally, I think we're weepy people naman, diba? Very emotionally... in touch with our emotions, but diba, it's so rare to have tears of joy.
Yes.
Ako actually, I'd call it tears of cooperation.
Okay, sige. It's the timing, it's the cavalry arriving. It's not just people banding together. They would have done that regardless. They're Avengers. But what I mean is, in that sequence where he's alone, first of all, he's alone. But the broken shield alludes to the vision of Tony in Age of Ultron na they were all dead and then basag yung shield. So akala mo, we're primed to think, Cap's gonna die here. There's this lovely zoom out where mag-isa siya against this horde of enemies, and it looks like a lost cause.
That's a beautiful shot.
And then you hear the feedback of Sam, and then
on your left.
There's an amazing shot where it's on Cap, and then you see behind him, diba? The ring sling of Doctor Strange starting to appear. And what's great about that shot is the audience sees it, but Cap doesn't yet.
Diba?
He just hears Sam. So when the ring sling appears in my theater, especially, talagang grabe, people started cheering already, and then mapapaluha ka talaga. And then that's like, for me it was like tears of joy. Na, this is such a comic book moment. Diba? It's not exact. I mean, it's the cavalry arriving at the right moment, the moment that you thought was most desperate. Syempre, everyone appears. Did you even see, I haven't seen, kasi I've only seen it the once pa lang. So, I've seen multiple people who said na Howard the Duck pala even Howard the Duck was there. He was behind Wasp when in the Sling Rings. Yeah, and the Ravagers are also there.
I wanna see.
I did not see that.
Maybe we should
So,
watch it.
that's another thing I want to watch out for when I rewatch it.
Tsaka, ang ganda nung nag-long shot, tapos nakikita mo sobrang daming
kalaban.
Rings.
Yeah, oo.
Tapos ako parang, oh my God, Infinity War pa din siya.
May hirit pa siya, diba? Is this everyone? This is not enough for you? Parang ganun.
Yun, for me yun. How about you?
How about you, Ramon?
Ako, it might be a quieter moment. Kasi one of the things I was gonna ask you guys is, where did you cry the hardest? There's a lot of good emotional beats
Ikaw muna.
Ikaw.
Well, for me, actually, nagulat ako that my most emotional part was actually when Tony unexpectedly ran into his dad.
Yeah.
Sobrang
I
lakas.
was gonna say that.
Ang lakas nun sa akin. Kasi I know Iron Man 2 is one of the weaker points in the canon for some people. But I especially love the daddy issues parts of Iron Man 2.
Favorite ko yung 2.
Diba? So, when that happened, ang ganda ng reaction. Kasi, of course, we had just seen Civil War, diba? And then we know na how John Slattery's character dies. He found out na he was killed by Bucky, diba? Which is a different way of seeing the death that he thought he always knew. And then of course, he sees his dad now that he has a 5-year-old child. And then his dad asks him for advice on being a parent. So ang ganda ng
Beautiful
synthesis
moment.
na.
Umiyak din ako doon, pero doon yung masakit na iyak.
Yeah.
Yun yung hindi.
And then he gives him the awkward hug. Tapos hindi ko maintindihan ni Howard. Like, what's this? Ang ganda nun. And there's also that nice bit na he repeats the advice of his dad to his dad. So parang almost time paradox na parang, di ba?
Siya pala yung nagsabi.
Siya pala yung nagsabi, he gave it to himself.
Yun.
So,
Well, eto, my question now for you. When Cap saw Peggy in the 1970, do you think that's... Ang ganda ng scene na yun. But do you think that's when he thought, maybe I can have this life?
Yeah. Tsaka, ang una niya nakita ay, ba't may picture ko dun sa table? Tapos na-realize niya, 70s na, ganito
Ako pa rin
ako,
yung inaano.
ganito ako kahalaga kay Peggy.
She still loves me. Yes.
So ito, take away nyo na theme from the movie. If there's one word that best encapsulates the theme of Avengers Endgame, what would it be?
Money?
That's one, of course. It's been breaking records left and right. So, that's a joke. I think that
Lagyan tayo ng laugh track.
the main theme of the movie is family. Ito, family talaga. The family that you create, or the family you were born into, or just the concept of belonging to people who take care of you and love you. Well, medyo cheesy, pero I'm a sucker for these kinds of things.
Well, I one of the things I really like is how well constructed this script is. Not just with all the Easter egg references or callbacks. Like even On Your Left is such a masterfully done callback. Remember last year we were talking about Infinity War, and then also I think we discussed a little bit of Mission Impossible Fallout. But they were the two sort of big movies of last year's summer. And they both had these scenes where the heroes would lose because they wouldn't sacrifice someone else. They would always be given this option, diba? The stone or this person, or the plutonium or your friend. And they would always choose the friend. They would not give up the other person. So they lost because they wouldn't sacrifice. And then the reason they succeed in Endgame is because what they do is they self-sacrifice. So Natasha gives up her own life. Tony gives up his own life. When they choose to give up themselves, then they end up winning. And then another thing that occurred to me was like, the big three, Cap, Thor, Iron Man. Each of their second films played a big role.
Yes.
Like there's a whole sequence with Winter Soldier where he pretends to be Hydra, which is great. Robert Redford makes his return appearance.
Yes.
But we talked about Howard Stark and Tony Stark meeting. That's an Iron Man 2 big deal issue. And then of course in Dark World when Frigga dies. And it's such a nice scene for Rene Russo, and also it's nice for because at this point he's sustained the most loss. He's lost so many Asgardians.
Grabe.
His whole family has died. He found out a sister that he never had.
He lost an
that he
eye.
had to kill. He lost an eye, and then failed pa to kill Thanos. He was at such a down point, and wallowing in self-pity, and then just letting himself go, and then to have that talk with his mom, and then she understands, and then she gives him the advice. She actually gives him the advice of Yoda from Last Jedi, which is failure is you're required. That's how you learn best, is by failing at something.
Ano yung tanong?
What's the theme?
Or takeaway?
Takeaway theme.
Well, initially, I thought it was a movie about closures. So, I thought, ang ganda nung theme na. Yung first 10 years will have closure. Ang ganda nung closure kay Tony from being this selfish, self-centered to like, self-sacrificing. Kay Thor, yun, na parang from really arrogant king to
Humbled.
humble, diba? Imagine, diba, from abs to like dad bod. Ang ganda nun eh. So, kaya, for me, justified talaga yung ending ni Cap. Bigay mo na sa kanya yun, na, diba, all throughout his life, he served other people. Now, like a family.
Okay, so guys, since this is a special episode, I want to end with a game I'd like to call the lightning round.
Okay.
So, it's been 11 years since Iron Man 1, and there have been 22 films, a total of 22 films, which we've all seen. Don't think too much. Whatever comes from the top of your mind, okay? Best character in the 22 movies.
Cap.
Yeah, I mean, best story for me is still... Well, yeah, best character Cap, yeah.
I'd go for Ant-Man.
Okay.
Okay.
Best villain.
Killmonger.
I'm gonna go for Killmonger too. Can we explain why?
Did you see the honest trailers of Black Panther?
No.
Ang ganda eh, kasi parang may points siya na you're the only villain who actually changed the mind of the good guys.
Yeah.
Kasi namatay siya. Pero yung mga gusto niya mangyari, tinupad ni T'Challa. Parang tama.
Close second siguro with Vulture, no? Medyo pareho.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I sometimes don't think of it necessarily as MCU, but yeah, ang galing ng Vulture. Galing kasi ni Keaton eh.
Pero close
He's
second
so
si
good.
Vulture.
Next, best action set piece.
Oh, it's not from the main characters. Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Yung car chase, bugbugan ni Nick Fury.
Good answer.
Doon ako as in, I think, visceral yung experience ko na, as in, napakapit ako sa seat ko talaga. Na parang, I feared for his life. I didn't know where it was coming from. Tapos, the whole movie, di ba, papatayin talaga siya. Shit talaga eh. Yun.
You?
I've only seen Endgame once, diba? But there were so many nice moments in that final battle. It's such a quick moment, pero when Steve gets the hammer, diba? Not even that eh. There's a shot where he throws the shield and then immediately throws the hammer at the shield, and it's behind Thanos, and then it creates this shockwave that flattens him from the back. That's such a comics movie. You don't expect that in a mainstream Hollywood movie because it's such a weird action thing to do, but it's something you would see in the comics. So it felt like, sarap na, that's really for the fans. But at the same time, since I've seen Infinity War more, I also really love the Titan sequence where they fought Thanos, and then they were all working together, and it was such a nice combination of powers. Yung sunod-sunod yung attacks, and the whole point was just so he couldn't close his fist. And then it culminates in that sequence na him versus Doctor Strange, and it's just all visual eh. Walang exchanging of bad dialogue. It's just boom, boom, spell, this, that, action, counter action. Yeah, and then even if you're like familiar with the comics, you know pa what's happening eh. Like he's using the crimson bands of Sitorak. Yes. But if you don't follow the comics, it's fine. You understand exactly what's going on. Diba yung multiple Stranges, diamond lenses na ginawa niyang wall, tapos naging butterflies. Ganda ng sequence na yan.
Pero parang it's Peter Quill's failure.
Oh,
hate him.
It ends with that.
I'm gonna go for a cop-out. It's the airport scene.
Yeah, maganda yun.
It's such airport scene in Civil War. I can watch that 100 times and still find something new.
It's so well
beautiful.
Choreographed.
It's a great piece of cinema for me.
And it's always gonna be tense because it's the good guys fighting each other.
Exactly. But the way it was staged, the way it was choreographed.
And it has two great reveals, which is Spider-Man and Giant Man.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay. Most heartbreaking scene in the 22 movies?
Yung Civil War.
Okay.
Yung nag-aaway si Tony tsaka si Cap.
Really? Okay.
I thought you were my friend.
Yes.
I was your
friend
best
too.
Okay.
I'm your friend too. Something.
I don't know. Baka just because it's so fresh pa rin, I might go with Howard Stark meeting Tony pa rin.
I'm gonna go for the grenade scene with Tommy Lee Jones.
Maganda din yan.
He throws the fake grenade. It was only Steve Rogers who covered it with his body. Beautiful writing. Okay, this is a fun question. Best duo. It could be a love team. It could be a mentor-apprentice, rivals. It could be partners.
Natasha and Cap. Yung
Winter Soldier. Okay nga. I think I might go with Thor, Loki, and Ragnarok.
Oh yeah, that was
Sobrang-
fun. That was fun.
It was such a satisfying...
when he
When they
threw
find-
Loki,
when they...
weaponized Loki's
You may-
body.
Yung help me. But also just the fact na, di ba, ang ganda ng relationship as it developed over like all three Thors and Avengers na, you know, they start as very antagonistic and then they have a kind of understanding na by Ragnarok. Yeah.
Tsaka parang kalokohan ng magkapatid talaga yung ginawa nila.
I'm gonna have to go with the Science Bros. Tony Stark and
In Avengers 1.
Bruce. Yeah, love it. Love the chemistry. Next question. Marvel movies are known for their soundtracks and their scores. What's the best soundtrack for you?
Guardians 1.
Same.
Second emotion.
Yeah, same.
Black Panther.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Maganda rin
maganda
yun.
din, mine.
Funniest moment.
Yung he's a friend from work.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know if that specific one, but definitely something from Ragnarok. Probably involving Jeff Goldblum.
Can you be more specific?
Well, I watched it recently. It was showing on cable, and then there was a line where he was like, you know, time works weird here in Sakar. You know, I would be I would be like 100 years old anywhere else, but here. And then he just says nothing. He just trails off, and then just gives this expression. And then both Loki and Thor are like, huh?
Ikaw?
It's not so funny, but I loved it talaga. Delete that footage.
At Black Panther.
Which of the post-credit title design
Oh, shit.
sequences is your
Captain
favorite?
America 1.
Is that the one with the shadows?
Hindi, yun yung mukhang Norman Rockwell paintings.
Yeah.
Tapos
That's beautiful.
Naka-parallax.
Beautiful.
Yan.
I think maybe Winter Soldier.
Oh,
Or
that's the one with the
yung
shadows.
Yung ba yun? Yung puro silhouettes.
Yeah.
Lakas ng graphic. Ano?
Oo, ganda din yan.
Well, ako cop out. Endgame with the autographs. Best line ever.
I can do this all day.
Wow. Beautiful.
Oh.
Ganda.
Yung best line ko hindi necessarily inspirational eh.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Basta well-written line.
Sobrang gusto ko kasi yung yung sa Avengers kasi is full of great Whedon lines, di ba?
Yes.
So there's a part na parang nagsi-speechify si Cap kay Tony. And then parang he says, remove the suit, what do you got? Tapos without missing a beat, he says, genius billionaire, philanthropist, playboy.
Ang ganda
Tapos
din
tama.
That's a meme now.
Oh,
Yeah.
but I mean, pero tama siya eh. Di ba? Parang
Yeah.
the suit is not
him.
Stark's strength eh.
Yeah.
It's everything, his
Yeah.
brilliant mind. Pero ang ganda na. And even after he says that, diba, there's a cutaway to Bruce na parang shrugging na. Tama siya eh.
Oh, ang ganda nun. Ikaw?
I am Iron Man.
Saang movie?
So, one or sa Endgame?
Endgame. And I am inevitable.
Yeah.
And finally, to cap it all off, best movie of the 22 films.
Dark World.
Mahirap naman to. Mahirap ng tanong eh.
Hirap ah. Basis ko na lang is the one that I would constantly think about and constantly watch. I would go with Captain America 1. Kasi for me, ang ganda-ganda niyang origin story.
Yeah. It goes back and forth eh. Sometimes it's Winter Soldier, sometimes it's Avengers 1, and sometimes it's Guardians 1. Guardians kasi came out of nowhere and had no pre-existing. It wasn't set up in any other movie eh. So it was basically an entirely new group of characters and a whole sector of the universe that hadn't really been explored, and it was done so well na by the end you loved all the characters. It was a monster hit also, and then naging star talaga yung lead actor mo. Avengers was such a great so many good moments and character moments and lines of dialogue, and Winter Soldier of course was just, it had that great feeling of things being overturned talaga, because when you finally sort of felt like there was a status quo, biglang you overturn it by having S.H.I.E.L.D. be the villain.
Civil War. It's a masterpiece for me. Beautifully done, beautifully directed, and it was the game changer for me na parang, wow, magagawa pala nila to. They were able to introduce two new characters, Black Panther and Spider-Man.
Yan.
That wraps up our episode. Folks.
Yes.
It's one very long episode. This is me signing off. I'm Wincy.
CJ.
And this is our special guest,
Ramon. ASMR.
If you like our podcast, we're on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube.
Just search Telebabad Tapes. And for updates, please subscribe.
Telebabad Tapes.